That's right. I think you've come out to a show before.
Yeah, I was at the show that you played at Beta with
Yeah,
Joshua.
that's right. That's right. Cool, man. Well, yeah, thanks for asking me to do this. I'm stoked to talk to you.
Of course, yeah, man. It's yeah, awesome to talk to you too. I was not aware that you lived in Berkeley, which is cool.
I actually now live just like an hour north up in Petaluma in the North Bay.
Oh, cool.
So
That
yeah,
sounds
pretty
cool.
close by. Um, yeah, so should I just start recording audio?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. It's like I figured the like earlier recording starts the more like natural conversation, like
Yeah,
flows.
might as well like get this all on just in case. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
let's see. Okay, cool. I should be good to go on my end.
Sick. Yeah, I'm also recording.
Cool.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, thanks for taking the time to do this. It's cool to finally chat. We also we played a show together in 2012 in like a warehouse in Oakland.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah, I played like just after you.
Do you know what the warehouse was called?
I
Or like what
don't
the party
know.
was called? Huh.
I don't. It was like my first tour here. I think it was like in it was either in like February or I think it was in like February 2012.
Was it at like the opera house or does that sound familiar?
It was like a really really small
Oh
warehouse.
man, I wonder what that was. Dang. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, then I I've seen I think one or two of your sets. One I remember seeing was I came to infrasound. We like missed our flight and I missed my actual set. And so I played like ended up playing on one of the side stages and I was just exhausted. So I went back to the car after. And I think you were on the main stage and I was just listening from the car. And it was like really like blowing me away. Like I was like super hungover from a festival I was at the weekend before, and I was just like listening to your set. I'm like, this is like really tripping me out right now. And I was completely sober.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it
good.
was great. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm always a fan of the trippy music for sure. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
I think I like stuff that's just produced I guess in such a way like enough shit happens fast enough that your brain just like kind of goes like what the fuck and like
Yeah, it's
you know
it's I try it's hard though because you also can't do too much. It's like finding like recently I've just been listening to like a ton of like Tipper stuff just to reference his tracks, and it's just like just the right amount of stuff so you can focus on the individual things, but not too much going on.
yeah, he kind of perfectly rides the line I feel like between like a lot going on and good songwriting, like good coherent songwriting.
Yeah, and then it's just the mixing that's like perfect too, because like a lot of the elements are, it's a lot of great sound design, but maybe not like the hardest stuff to make, but the way he um just like puts it all together and puts everything in its place is just, oh, I just, yeah, strive to get to that one day.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about like the arrangement of sounds and stuff, right? Because he gave me like 200 or 300 serum presets that he made like I don't know a year ago or something,
Okay.
and I've like used a bunch of them in tracks since, and never when I use them do they sound like as clean or as cool as Tipper's. And like I can hear all the sounds and I can be like, oh yeah, like that's that sound from Forward Escape, and like oh that's that sound from like that song,
Yeah.
and then I listen to like his song and how he used it, and I'm like, oh man, I would never have thought to use that sound that way.
100%. Yeah, I've just like going through Omnisphere, I've occasionally like come through like sounds he's used, and it's fun going through different Omnisphere or even contact stuff and hearing like even like loops I've heard. Like I was going through a contact library recently and just found a loop from it's like a Sam Galatry song, and there's like the main like hook of the loop, but it just was or the main hook of the song and just was a loop in this random contact patch. It's definitely interesting finding that stuff when you're looking around.
Yeah, I feel like one of the like biggest I guess like the thing that makes you able to recreate things the most, I think, is just knowing where the shit came from, right? Like for instance, if you listen to a hip hop track and it has an 808 drum, like 808 kit being used on it, and you're like, oh, I know that's an 808 kit, then it's like you're pretty likely to be able to recreate that pretty quickly. And it's like if you listen to a Tipper track, and you're like, oh, I can hear that that's Razor, then like
Yeah.
you're much more likely to hit on exactly how that sound was made a lot quicker than if you're like, fuck, how's he doing this? Maybe it's Harmer, maybe it's Serum.
Yeah, that's true. And he doesn't have like a ton of like info out there. I feel like it's a lot of people like just piecing together information from like old interviews and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's he's one that's kind of a little bit harder to like figure out what he's exactly doing, There's just less information, he's a little bit more like mysterious on that end, it seems like.
Yeah, there's something cool I think about like I've done the exact opposite with my career. I've like just given every bit of information out and like
Yeah.
hold held no secrets. I've like talked for fucking millions of hours on this podcast at this point. And, like people, if they want to know exactly who I am
They
and
know.
exactly how I do everything, they can figure it out. But there's something cool about like withholding everything and just being so secretive about it. So there's just it like kind of creates all this like folklore and shit around the project.
Yeah, and do you think that's pretty intentional, or do you think that he just is just that's just what he wants to do, or do you think that's like he's doing it for to like get that, like I don't know.
No, that's just who Dave is. I think like
Yeah.
I've asked him to come on the podcast a few times, and he's just like, oh, I don't think I'm interesting enough, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like every time I have conversations with him, it's like some of the most interesting and insightful conversations I ever have. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that would be great.
yeah. He's I think he's just like shy plus introverted plus I don't know, just yeah, doesn't give a shit about like social media and stuff like that.
I know, and that works out like perfectly for him. I feel like you can like be on different ends of the spectrum. You can either be like really amazing and good at like producing music, and then you have to worry like less and less about like all the other stuff, or you can be at
Mm.
the other end of the spectrum and be like not a great producer and not even like a good songwriter making good music, but then you have to be like way better at, social media and all the other
That's
stuff.
That's all assuming that your goal is to like make money out of a music career, basically, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like basically, yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
your goal is to just be the best producer you can, then like being at the end of social media is not going to help.
That's true. Yeah, you don't have to do anything. You can just be a good producer, and yeah. And what like I guess like brand wise that works for I feel like his brand, like it's just like his best brand is like no brand kind of. Obviously there is like he has, like something there, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, in regards to like the information that you've like given out, like I definitely there's have been watching your stuff for a while. Like um there was like one old video you did on like figuring out delay times, and I used to always go back and reference it, and like because I
Mm.
always forget like 60,000, and then you updated it with by just like I'm highlighting it in Ableton and looking down,
Yeah.
and I just use that one a ton because it's so helpful. And if I'm like changing, like I have a track that I'm working on that just goes into a random time signature in the middle of the track, and it's just easy to like go and see how long it is in Ableton, highlight it, and just look down there and see how many milliseconds it is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of tricks are neat. I feel like software at this point is starting to become a little bit more self-aware in that, like, people need these kind of things easily accessible to them and available to them, and you shouldn't
Yeah.
have to do these weird, like, little things to be able to figure shit out like that. So I think, like, in Live 11 now, it's like writing music is just so easy. Like, they have
Yeah.
this thing in Live 11 now. It's like the have you ever used a push?
Yeah. I have one that sits right here that I use for like almost nothing.
Yeah, yeah, I had the same thing. Ableton gave me one for a while, and I didn't use it, and I gave it back to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
but yeah, so there's that function on it where you can say I want to write stuff in like C major or whatever, and it like lights up all the keys that are in C major or whatever.
Yep.
There's the same thing now in Live 11, just inside MIDI clips. Like you can just say I want everything, like just highlight all the notes that are in like C major, and it just highlights them all. It's so sick.
How do you access that? You just right click it and on
It's
the.
just it's down where like the launch box is for everything else, like where envelope,
Oh.
where you would like go to change pitch bend and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because I've been in the beta, and I guess yeah, I haven't really dived into everything yet, and yeah, haven't messed with that yet. I need
Yeah,
to
that's
check it
like my
out.
favorite thing because I like am not good at music theory. So I mean I don't think anyone maybe like there's like very few people right who probably memorize like every single scale.
Yeah.
So it's super helpful to just be like, all right, this is in this key. no, you just like highlight all the notes. You just like randomly click on that. You can also like hit fold, so it like folds away all the notes that aren't in that scale, and you can literally
Yeah.
just like spam the piano roll, and it just like comes out with something useful.
Yeah, I end up like writing most of my stuff in, I don't even know, it's an F or like F minor or something. I don't even know exactly what it is. And it just ends up, most of my stuff ends up being in that, and I just transpose it up and down. Um, or I just like mess around and just see what I get and just experiment. But yeah, it would be a little bit easier if I just kind of folded it and just had all those notes ready to select. I don't know.
There's a good reason to write in F and F sharp and stuff like that. Like anywhere basically from I think D sharp to like G is sort of the ideal for subs, right? So
Yeah,
you ever
yeah.
want to
And
like
yeah, just I like when I started producing music, like I can't play piano, but that ended up just being I can play like melodies in just that scale. So just writing melodic and stuff, and it does, yeah, exactly kind of work out for hopefully getting good response on the lower end of things.
That's pretty funny. I never thought about that. Like maybe most bass music producers are just super good at jamming in F
Yeah, yeah.
and like no other key.
That's literally what it is for me.
Makes sense.
Yeah, man.
Going back to like Tipper's career, do you think that type of career trajectory would work for anybody else? Like do you think there's anybody else who could start a career and just be like I'm going to withhold everything, just be the best producer I can and like make it to where he's made it in the same amount of time that he has, which is I mean at this point like 20 plus years
It's
maybe.
been a while. Yeah. Man, I don't, oh, man, I really don't know. It's kind of like its own thing. I feel like I can't, I really do. I, I, I can't think of any other like, can you think of any other like artists, obviously like it, not even electronic artists, just like bands or whatever that have done like a similar thing? Like,
Yeah, Banksy, I guess.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess in our realm of things, I don't know. I'm trying to think of, yeah, that's tough. I just think that the production is so good, and there's just a lot for a lot of different things that a lot of different people can like that like electronic music that, yeah, I can't really think of anyone else that would have the same, yeah, kind of effect on people.
Yeah, I always think that as well. It's like whenever I'm talking to somebody about like, oh, you have to do social media and stuff like that, like Tupa didn't do it, and it's like, yeah, but who else? Who
I
else can
would,
do
man,
it?
I wish I'm so bad at it, and I wish I didn't have to. But I feel like I gotta. It's like I feel like I definitely need to do that to make up for it. And even like I just feel lucky that I like got into music when I did. It's been about like I've been like touring for about 10 years because I feel like if I would have gotten into it now or even like 5 years ago, the level of production you have to have is like just like so high. Like everyone is so good that I just feel like it would have been much harder for me to like, get into it. And you just have to be much better now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And I think partially like people like me who gave away all their information are to blame for that, right? It's like the level of like you're able to just get a degree in music production off YouTube really easily now.
That's true, but it's raised everyone's production level because when I started there wasn't nearly as many resources, and now like I can spend so much time diving into every different aspect of making music and just make my music better. And it's I think having all these tutorials online are a much better way to learn than I never went to like a production school like Icon or something, but I think like being able to like choose these videos and learn that way is better than going to a school like that. I don't want to like talk shit on like Icon or anything, but uh, sometimes I kind of feel like when I hear someone's music, I can tell if they went to like that school because they all maybe like learn like very similar techniques and they like, for a while just apply those techniques and don't really break those rules. I don't know if that's true, but I just think it's better to learn with all these different resources and just pulling what you want from it.
Yeah, also like you pick up a lot of idealistic things I think from instructors. So it's like if you go to Icon and your instructor is like I think Prototype taught there for a while.
Yeah.
And he probably has like some ideas about like how sound should be made and how things should be mixed and all that kind of stuff. And I mean if that's like your mentor is telling you that, then you're obviously gonna like take that away and apply that to your own stuff.
Yeah, and that's my like big my one of my biggest things like recently has been, or like I guess the last few years, is like trying to like forget about some of these things that I had ingrained in me that I thought were like rules, and like not always do those things with just, filtering out low end, or even like keeping, low end and mono and all that stuff. Now I'm trying to like a little bit like still have those rules lightly, but also like be able to not do that 100% of the time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I had do you know Matt Zoe?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had him on the podcast, and he had some interesting stuff to say about that. So he kind of thinks about music purely from like a contrast perspective. So
Yeah.
he's like, I don't give a shit if like the bass is mono and the tops are stereo or whatever. He's like, as long as the section after it is different. So like, the section after it, maybe all of your tops are mono and all of your bass is like completely stereo. Like he's just all
Yeah.
into this like crazy contrasting stuff, and I thought that was really interesting. I still have not tried that, but I think it's a cool concept, right? Because in the context of like an album or a set or a playlist on Spotify or something like that, if you're doing like the exact opposite thing, uh, like for instance, your sub is like really stereo and your tops are really mono or something, it's like that sonically is just gonna stand out a lot more, I think, against
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I listened to that one, and it definitely, like, now I kind of have that contrast thought in my head to make sure that there are these different things going on. It's not just all the time a bunch of stuff going on. And back to like the stereo thing, when I've been mixing tracks recently, I've been like really trying to reference tracks and just look at them on like, I use like Flux to kind of just look at there's the one of the images, I forget what it's called. It's the
The nebula spatial gram,
I think so, yeah.
the one that
And
looks like a Christmas tree.
yep, that's exactly it. And that one's been helpful. And I've been looking at like just some tipper tracks, and it changes a lot, but on some of them, the high end is like a lot more mono, and then it kind of spreads out. And I've always like kind of just like kind of made it almost like an upside down Christmas tree, like where it starts, mono, and then it like spreads out all the way to the top. But now I'm trying to just, yeah, just kind of analyze it a little bit more, but not too much, and just, yeah, kind of not have those rules set.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like obviously you've got a limited amount of headroom to work with going through the stereo bus. So you really want to, I think like the goal is to make things stereo that you can actually hear, right?
Yeah.
And then that's going to give you like you're using like the headroom for the most important shit, and then everything else like that's mono, like this the sub and the very tops, it's like you're not really hearing a lot of definition in those things, so it's
Yeah.
okay to like compress the amount of headroom they're taking up, and then just like have all the sort of mid-range from I guess like 500 hertz to 10K or something just be sort of like spread.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and I've also just been trying to like really spend time and money on getting my room sounding better. I've always just like spent money on buying new synths and then eventually selling them. And I wish I just got more treatment to begin with, because I use a synth for, whatever, a few days when I'm making the track, and then I spend 95% of the rest of the time in the DAW and mixing the track, and I spend 100% of the time listening to it. So I wish I just would have initially spent that money on more treatment and just getting it better. But I'm slowly like adding stuff and getting the room to sound better. And really, honestly, in the past 6 months is the first time I've actually like messed around with the positioning of my monitors and all that, and it's made a huge difference. I didn't think about that even a year ago, and I've been producing music for 10 years. So yeah, just trying to get that sounding good.
Yeah, that's something. Is that's a GIK panel behind you? Is it?
Yeah, I got that, and then I just recently got two tri traps in the corners. I did get two more, and then I had just recently, like a week ago, put up some ceiling panels for the early reflections, and they're just, now there's a huge weight on them, but I have a few more coming in like 2 months or something.
Yeah, GAK is slow. I have a bunch of their stuff in here too, but yeah, it's I've always told people that like if you can spend money on like anything first, either make it treatment or headphones, because
Yeah,
I mean if you like buy a pair of LCDXs or something, they're like super nice headphones. You just remove the room from the equation, and therefore it's like you don't need to worry about treatment. But if you have like a set of KRK6s, it's like, and you have $3,000, it's like rather than upgrading to a $3,000 pair of speakers, like make your $500 KRKs sound like a $3,000 pair of speakers by just treating your room. and then
Yeah.
whatever speakers you put in there after that are going to be like way better. So for instance, like these barefoot I'm on barefoots, and like
Yeah.
having those in this room is fine, but having those in like a shitty room, it's like they're fucking worse than having like a small set of speakers in a shitty room because they just exacerbate the problem more.
That's true. Yeah. And those are I just have the barefoot or the footprint twos. Are the ones you have those like uh they're like a little bit longer or bigger? I don't know how to describe them.
I have the MM27, so they're like the tall ones with like
Yeah.
the two tweeters and then the small little nipple tweeter in the middle.
And do you need like the crazy stand to like hold them up and everything?
Yeah, the stands to hold them are like worth $1,000
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah.
which is crazy. They're just like these, I guess, like these big like forklift looking things. And
Yeah.
they have like decoupling and shit on them. So basically, it's like the speaker is just floating in midair, which is really cool.
Oh, so it's not only that makes it worth it then, because I thought it was just you needed those big stands just to support them, but it also, yeah,
It
kind of
has like,
decouples it. Yeah.
yeah, it has pretty good technology in it. So the idea is basically like you want to get it just like sitting in midair with no reflection point on whatever it's sitting on or anything like that.
Well, yeah, I'm always now I spend so much time thinking about it, but I was at Charles the First house. He wasn't there. We were coming back from Burning Man and he let us stay at his house. And I his music sounds like so good to me. And I went in, I we went into his room and he literally just had a pair of Rockets with like no treatment at all.
Wow.
And it just like I'm like shit, if he can do it on that, he must just really know how they sound. And yeah, I don't know. Then I'm like, do I need all this stuff? I'm just trying to figure it out. But I go back and listen to my old stuff before I thought about it, and there's just so much like weird stuff I hear with just way too much bass and parts and all that. So I think eventually I'll get it figured out, but I don't know.
If there's
Yeah.
one thing I can recommend buying, if you like want to spend the absolute minimum amount of money possible to
Yeah.
treat your room, it's this thing right here, a laser measurer. So like basically you turn this shit on
Yeah.
and it's a laser pointer that tells you how far shit is away. Like you can't really see it on the camera. I don't want to like point it into my camera in case I like
Yeah.
fuck it up. But like
Yeah.
basically, if I like sit here and have this at my head and be like take a reading of like exactly how far my cone is away, it's
Oh
1.36 meters away. And then if I look at
dude.
this cone here and be like how far is that one away, it's 1.394. So that one's about like 50 centimeters further away from me right now. So I either have
Shit.
to move 50 centimeters this way or move that speaker 50 centimeters closer to me. And if you get that shit like perfect, then
Yeah.
your stereo is perfect, your center image is really good. That's like a huge deal, I think, is like your mix position and your speaker distances and stuff. And these things are like $30, and you
Oh
can,
my God. I didn't know that existed because when I just like take the tape measure and try to like hold
dude,
it
fuck
straight
that.
and go over this. And then the problem I was having, I would have the speakers too far and I have a huge iMac and I that would get in the way. So I finally got some back. But the laser thing, it was quite tough to like get the measurements by myself.
Yeah, you got to get a
That would be great.
laser.
Yeah.
And it's good for like setting your desk up in your room too, because you can like butt it up against the edge of the desk and like get it perfectly from wall to wall. Because the other thing to consider, right, is if you like, for instance, in this room here, my stereo is like pretty fucked because like this wall here is a window, and
Okay.
this wall here is a wall. So it's
Yeah.
like on one side I'm getting like reflections, and on the other side I'm getting like complete refraction. So it's like
Yeah.
one side
Yeah.
is always going to be lopsided, and like this is always going to sound a little louder and boomier and stuff. So um, but if you're in a room like you're in, it looks like with just two parallel walls, that's
Yeah.
perfect because then you can like get everything like perfectly from each wall. Like everything is perfectly distanced from every wall and stuff, and you can kind of like get your stereo image like very uniform.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good. I use SonarWorks and the top end looks pretty good and it looks pretty lined up. I just have a lot of problems with the low end booming up. Do you use like yeah, SonarWorks or like speaker or whatever correction?
Yeah, so they gave it to me, and I used it for a little bit, and I thought it was pretty good. But I also just kind of got like annoyed with the program like taking over my
Oh,
like
yeah.
drivers, and then
Yeah.
I'd be like, why the fuck aren't I getting sound? And then like I'd have to like switch some shit around in the SonarWorks software and like my drivers, and then I'd be like, oh, now it's like way too quiet running through their drivers for some reason, and I don't know. There's like a bunch of issues with it. So I was like, you know what? I don't know. Like I don't trust what this is doing to my gain stage.
Yeah. It's yeah, I just I pretty much just like leave my computer on and never turn it off so that I can always just system wide is always off. And then I get annoyed with like bouncing tracks and stuff. And I'm never sure if it's applying it to the bounce track or if I'm resampling if it's applying it to it. But I've like set up some, I've been using like a Stream Deck or the Stream Deck app to do kind of like macros in Ableton. So I have like a macro that I press it and it like um, Sonar Works and then freezes the track and then bounces it to a new one. So that's like kind of helped with the annoying parts about that.
That's
But
another thing. Yeah, the rendering stuff. So
yeah,
there's actually this plugin by Melda called M Recorder,
okay.
and I've been using that a lot lately. Basically, it's like a you just hit record on it, and it just like records into its own buffer, and then you can just set it to render somewhere to a folder. So I just like leave this thing sitting on my master, and then whenever I want to record something, I just like hit record on that, play the thing I want to record, hit stop, and then it's just in my current project folder.
Oh shit.
And
And yeah,
and then also the benefit of that is it will keep recording after you stop the transport. So like if you have a reverb tail you want to record or something, you just like hit the thing until it like tails out and then just hit record and like
oh, that would be, yeah, because it takes me, it just, at the time adds up. Like I usually just use
yeah.
resample, but doubling the track and adding that. And I could even just throw that before Sonar Works so that doesn't
Exactly,
get
yeah.
applied.
Yeah, exactly. So
Damn.
that
Okay.
that's a good solution. It's also free, which is cool. But
Yeah.
there's something that comes free in Fruity Loops that solves this problem called Edison that a lot of people on my stream have told me to check out. Um, and I haven't really checked it out yet, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I have a few of the Melda plugins, but yeah, that would save me a lot of time. The annoying, I don't know if I need to just upgrade my computer. I feel like it's pretty powerful, but like in these bigger projects, it just like as more and more stuff gets added, it just takes longer and longer for like plugins to get added on. And I don't know if that would be faster if I just got a better computer, but it's just really kind of slowing down my workflow recently. I just have like a
Mm.
ton of stuff going on. I don't know.
With Live 11 though, you should be able to check, right? Like what's eating up all the processing power because it has
Dude,
like the
yeah,
CPU meters on every channel.
I feel like that could be better though, because it's like very like vague, like things, and I'll check and it'll be like one random track. It just as the projects get bigger and bigger, it's just like go slower and slower. So I don't know. Like taking Chrome off my computer seemed to actually help a lot. Um,
Hmm.
but I may just need to upgrade or something. I don't know.
Weird. Chrome.
Yeah.
Should use
I,
Brave.
yeah, I was I do need to like kind of get on that stuff and get a little bit more secure with everything. But I just haven't taken the time to do it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, Brave's pretty sick. I'm into
Okay.
it. What made you move to Petaluma?
Petaluma,
Petaluma. Is
close.
that
Yeah, I lived in Santa Cruz for a while. Then I lived in Berkeley. This is all after moving to Minnesota. And then we just kind of wanted, me and my wife just wanted more room um, and kind of better rent. So we kind of got as close to the Bay Area as we could
mm.
while still being able to afford a house. So yeah, that was the main reason.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, actually, I guess I've driven. I'm just looking at Petaluma on the map now. I guess I've
Yeah.
driven up there because I go mountain biking a ton, and I've been mountain biking up around there at a place called Annandale State Park.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's up in Santa Rosa. I've mountain biked once, and then a lot of times when I do stuff like that, I get like super obsessed with it, even though I probably won't do it again. So I've like researched all the spots around me. Um, and yeah, I want to get back into it. It's just like financially, do you have like your own bike and all your own equipment?
I do. Yeah, it's an expensive sport to get
It
into for
is.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are you enjoying living in San Francisco? And yeah,
Dude, it's so sick. It's like equidistant, I guess, between like these spots up in Santa Rosa and North Bay stuff, but it's also like pretty close to Santa Cruz, right? So
yeah.
I get to go to like both, which is awesome. Santa
This-
Cruz is insanely cool for mountain biking. It's crazy. Like the Sokol demonstration forest, man. That place is so good.
I haven't. Yeah, I used to live up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, like when I was in college, and there I always would see there's like mountain bike tracks up at the upper campus of UCSC. Um, but yeah, I haven't like ridden back there or anything.
Wait, so like in Scotts Valley and stuff?
Yeah, it's in. Do you know? Have you heard of Bonnie Doon?
Bonnie Doon. No, I have
Yeah,
not.
there's like it's like right above Scotts Valley and Santa Cruz. And there's a good amount of like there used to be a lot of like tracks there, and you'd walk through and there'd be like huge jumps and stuff. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so it looks like So Cool Demonstration Forest is not that far from there.
Yeah, I think that would SoCal's like kind of on the other side of the freeway, maybe. I'm not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure.
It looks like
Yeah,
it is. But yeah,
yeah.
that place kicks ass. For mountain biking is so good.
Have you ever done it at like a mountain where they have like lifts and stuff?
I haven't. No, I've just done it on places where you have to ride up these big nasty hills. But
Yeah, or new
it's
turns.
yeah, exactly. But it's good. It's like good exercise, which is something that I really value, especially during quarantine, right when like gyms are shut and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I've been just running a lot recently. Since we haven't been able to go to the gym. But yeah, it's hard to keep not like just sitting around a lot, but it definitely feels good to get out and get your body moving.
Mm. How was your tour schedule before COVID?
It was good. We were right in the middle of a tour when COVID kind of shut everything down. So we were about halfway through. Um and I was trying to like just the past few years it just got old like flying to places, and that was always the best like financially for me because there were low expenses, but I always just enjoyed doing either like a sprinter tour or a bandwagon tour or a tour bus tour. Um so we did like a big tour with brought like a void sound system and then just light and got a tour bus and stuff and got halfway through and then had to shut it down. And it's kind of a bummer because we were like the financials were like pretty tight on that, and we were really counting on the dates towards the end. Like we had a bunch of East Coast dates to like make up a lot of the money for it. And right where it got canceled, we were in this part where we weren't making much money, and it kind of like screwed me a little bit just cutting it off there. But yeah, I don't know.
Fuck, like you'd outlaid a bunch of money for like all of the production and the sound system and the bus and like all that kind of stuff, and then not being able to do the last few days kind of like put you in the red.
It did, yeah, put us in the red a good amount, just because a lot of the expenses were up front and we couldn't get it back.
Fuck.
Um,
Do you not
yeah,
do you ever like buy tour insurance or whatever it is?
no, no, me and my manager definitely talked about it after, and we couldn't figure out if we would have had insurance, if it would have applied for it, if it was like an act of God or like in one of
Yeah,
those clauses or something.
because it's such a crazy situation.
Yeah, and like I said, with being such a small artist and trying to tour with production, like the profit is already like very like small, and most of it comes from selling merch.
Mm.
That like, and I even like random stuff. Like I bought a trailer for the tour because I was trying expensive and was going to sell it after, and then I had a lot of trouble. I haven't been able to sell the trailer yet, so that was a huge expense and would have been much better if I just rented one if I knew it was going to get cut in half. But yeah, I worked with my dad and just like kind of figured out some stuff financially, like through just government programs and um, getting loans to the government to, because we had a credit line that we kind of put it all on and just reducing the interest rate on that and kind of starting to get it paid off. But yeah, it's pretty lame.
Damn, yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah, my situation was not as bad as that. I basically just had a bunch of shows booked that I just didn't go to because I was
Yeah.
at the time just doing like flyouts.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was just like, all right, I guess I'm just not flying out to all those. And then I had like a bunch of flights booked for all of them, and then I was able to mostly like cash them in for flight credits and
Yeah, because the airlines were pretty good about that. I know, like Boogie T like had done like one date on his tour, and then and it was like his first
shit.
bus to cancel it, which like I'm really happy just for the experience. I got to do half of it. It seems like it probably would have worked out with him financially because hopefully could have gotten a lot of that back. But yeah, it's just weird, and hopefully we're trying to like reschedule it. And I've toured once or twice in a. Have you heard of a bandwagon?
No, is it like a tour bus kind of thing?
It's like a shitty tour bus. It's like this company. It's not shitty. It's actually really great. I don't want to talk shit on the company because I actually really love them. They just turn these like almost like box trucks into these kind of just makeshift tour buses. They have like 10 bunks. Um, and they just cut expenses a lot. If you look it up, it's just bandwagon RV,
Yeah,
and
I'm looking at these now. I
yeah,
think I have seen bands in these before actually.
yeah, and they're just great because they're much cheaper, and um, anyone can drive them. Because a big expense on a tour bus is the bus driver and getting hotels every night. With this, anyone could drive it, and the driver sleeps in a bunk up in the front. Um, and we're gonna try to just do another tour and like when we can come back in one of those and just kind of make as much money as possible to kind of repay those debts. But
Right. Were
um,
you in one of these when the tour you just did got cancelled or?
no, we were in a regular tour bus, so that's why the expenses were so high, and we were on the other side of the country and had to get everything back. But I think
Fuck.
for the near future, we'll just do the bandwagons because they're fun and they're a little dinky, but they get the job done and they're cheap, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're at the level of like doing tour buses, man, I like wouldn't consider you to be that small of an artist. Like, how many, like, what were the venue sizes you were playing?
Um, like I mean, it just like in Portland, it'd be like I forget what it's called. Anywhere like on weekdays to from like to like 300 to 600, and then on weekends trying to do between like 700 and 1,000. But like we were like cutting it close, and like it's we really had to like nail down the financials perfectly. Like there was no room for mistakes on that end. So I think I was kind of on the brink of it being able to do it, and I've done it before in a tour bus. But the bandwagon is just I don't have to worry about that. It's actually cheaper than doing like a sprinter tour because you don't have to get any hotel rooms. And I just work out good deals with the lights and the sound and stuff, and barely make ends meet, and usually make it happen. I don't know.
Damn. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, man.
yeah,
Fuck, I should do a bandwagon tour at some point. I did one in a sprinter once and
yeah.
I hated it. It was like so much work. We ended up sleeping in the sprinter a lot, which was
Oh,
uncomfortable. It was terrible.
dude,
Um,
that's brutal.
yeah, there was like six of us like sleeping in a sprinter. It was crazy.
Well, look, next time you do like a production tour, look into the bandwagon. It's like 350 a day or something, and you don't need hotel rooms. I mean, you need a shower room, but we did a tour where we did half on a sprinter and half on the bandwagon, and the bandwagon ended up being cheaper than getting a sprinter and all the hotel rooms.
Yeah, we got a crazy deal on the sprinter though. We got it for like
Oh,
2 months for like 3 grand or something.
oh
It was
shit.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
my friend just had one, and we're like, can we just borrow it for like this much money? And he was like, done.
that's the way to do it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. I keep thinking like, I mean, I love doing shows, and I think it's fun and cool, but also like I've been pretty into this studio vibe as well, which is
yeah.
kind of cool. Have you also felt similarly in that way? Like, have you gotten a lot of work done uh, during this time, or have you been mostly just like I think you've frozen. Oh,
Hey, can you hear me? Okay.
yep,
Okay,
totally.
my power just completely shut out. I think.
Wait, like your entire house power?
Yeah, this is like never happened. And this morning, it just everything went out, and I was like, okay, of course it's gonna happen. But it came back on right away, and it just everything
Yeah.
went out. But I think I opened up Ableton and the file isn't there, but I should be able to find it. But I was recording on the Zoom too into the SD, so I think we should be okay on that file.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm recording again.
Yeah, I
Let's
just
see.
I just didn't stop recording. I just kept recording the whole time.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think we should be good. Okay, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. Sorry about that.
No worries. I forgot what I was asking.
Yeah, I can't remember what we were talking about.
It was something along the lines of touring, maybe.
Oh, we were talking about like just like in the studio life.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was saying that to some degree, like I'm stoked. Like obviously, I'm stoked. Vaccines are coming out, and like this whole problem is getting solved and stuff like that. But I'm also like kind of like in some ways sad that I might feel obligated to have to start doing shows again, which is like the fucking most first world shit ever.
Yeah,
But
I've gotten used to this as well too, and I it is gonna be weird once we get back to it and kind of having to switch gears again and not having like a great excuse to like stay in a lot.
I know it's going to be like everybody has gone back to playing shows for the first time again, sort of, right? Like everyone might be a little scared on stage and shit. And
I think it's definitely going to be a little bit weird, but it will definitely be nice. It's like I've like set up like my CDJs in my house, and had like kind of I just have like a few friends that are kind of in my group over, and it's been fun to just like DJ together and just hang out and drink and do that at the house. But it always makes me a little bit sad when after I have a few more drinks, because I'm like, oh, I'm not playing shows. I don't know.
are you like still you think as good as at DJing as when you were doing shows?
um yeah, I think so. I always am like I've been doing a stream like every now and then, and it's always like a little bit rough at the beginning, like mix wise, because it's hard to get into it when there's like no one there and there's just like a bunch of like my computer and shit there. But once I get into it, I the rustiness kind of fades off. But it's definitely a lot harder to DJ by yourself than it is in front of people, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you like don't have that energy to feed off and stuff like that.
You don't have anything, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have you been playing on CDJs for like a long ass time, or were you like a laptop guy for a long time?
I've been doing CDJs for like probably the past like 6 years or so, so I'm like pretty familiar with them, I'd say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of only switched to CDJs like I don't know 2 years ago or something, if that.
What? Yeah. Why'd you make the switch over?
Because I realized no one gives a shit about like live quote unquote electronic music shows,
100%.
like
Yeah.
all the shit that I'm like setting up on Ableton to do is like just for me. Like no one cares. The only reason you would do it right is to like sync visuals and stuff like that, I guess, or sync like a lighting show up or something like that. But even still, it's like there seems to be good ways to solve that on CDJs these days too.
Yeah, and I've done on my last tour before this one, I spent a lot of time putting this really complicated, convoluted system together where I would play on CDJs and they would send MIDI to Ableton, and then Ableton would trigger visuals and Resolume. And I spent like so much time on that. And even with the visuals running up like synced, and I thought it was really cool. I think some people thought it was cool, but I spent a lot of time on it, and I don't think that many people thought it was that cool. So
Right. It's
I don't
yeah.
know.
You almost start asking yourself, right? Like, where is my time better spent, or like, where is is it better if I spend 6 weeks preparing this live show with synced visuals and all this crazy shit, or should I just like write six new tracks in 6 weeks, like purely with the idea of playing them at certain parts in time in the set and like having them be super hypey and all that kind of stuff, right? It's like, I mean, I think the thing that's going to be most effective in terms of how much the crowd enjoys the set is going to be the latter, right?
100%. And the one good thing was like I was like in a little bit of a rut with like writing music. I just wasn't enjoying it, and it was really great to just like be able to learn this whole new kind of medium and kind of be creatively fulfilled there without like being stressed out about writing music. Um, but the time it would be much better spent working on music than this thing that's used at such a small portion of like what I do just in live shows. And
Mm.
it was like so many hours of work, and just it took me like up until like 3 weeks until the tour was done to get the system actually working perfectly. Like every show, it was just like troubleshooting and spending hours after the show, just like figuring out what went wrong. Cause it was, I made it like too complicated. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to like have those experiences though, right? Because then, like in retrospect, you can look back and be like, all right, like we just need to delete half of this shit for the next tour and just like go with the one thing that worked or whatever. Right?
Yeah, and even just like visual wise, I remember when I was like putting stuff together in Resolume, the visuals I created first. Now when I look at them, there was just so much shit going on. Like I had no eye for it, and it just was way too much. And now I have a lot more knowledge in that sense of things about being more limited, and just even just technology wise, like kind of knowing what's going on, and I can kind of have better conversations with VJs and all that kind of stuff for festivals and everything because I do have a knowledge there, which was helpful. It was a lot of work to figure out all that, but it's in general been positive.
Yeah, what made you like go down the rabbit hole of figuring all that out rather than just hiring like a VJ to work with and collaborate with on a tour?
Just like lower expenses, like just trying to do everything myself, and I just didn't have too much money to work with. So I hired people to make some content, and then I also pulled a lot from like National Geographic shit and just buying loops online. But mostly it was kind of just budget. Like we're just talking about in hindsight, still my time would have been much better spent just working on music and putting up more music and making money on that. And then, hiring someone to make the visuals. Um, but it was a money thing. And it also was just like a curiosity thing of like trying to like figure it out myself and make it exactly how I wanted to. But I should have got a little bit more help with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did when I did my like big tour where I tried to do production and shit. I
Yeah.
kind of like just got help with it. But yeah, then I ended up like not making any money on that tour, and it was a fucking mess, and it was the
I,
worst experience of my life.
did you have synced up visuals? Did you just like have an Ableton set and like for each song it would send like MIDI to Resolume or something like that?
So I was sending out a full like 127 notes like of MIDI at any given time to like the VJs, and they were using TouchOSC to like interpolate all that data and do things with it. And then
Gotcha.
I was also sending out instead of like sending out MIDI notes to trigger like different things in Resolume, I was just sending out time code. Uh, and so I just had like one audio channel of time code that I was just sending via audio to them, and then basically they just said like at all of these parts of time code in the set, play this film clip thing, I'll play.
And so with doing that, did you have to play your set in a certain order for the visuals to be synced up?
No, I didn't have to. I could play it in six different orders, but basically the way it worked was more than six. I mean, like I had six sections of the set, and
Yeah.
basically once I started a section of the set, I had to like keep playing that section of the set, and that was about
Yeah.
like a 15-minute chunk.
Yeah.
And then I had like six or seven of those to choose from, so I could play them in like any order I wanted. But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's my dream setup, and I like kind of almost got there was using the system to be able to play like make visuals for songs and then play them at any part, and they would like trigger the visuals, and I did that through MIDI and stuff. Um, it I think if I did it now, I could get it to work better. But towards the end, I kind of got it there where I could play like a song at any part and mix it in at any part. But there still would always have to be some planning for like how much of the song I want the visuals for. It just I wanted it to be so I could completely improvise, but in reality, that's pretty tough to do with getting visuals involved.
Yeah, this is still a like unsolved problem. It seems like that a lot of electronic musicians and VJs and stuff are trying to solve.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure someone's solved it by now, but
yeah, yeah. True. I don't
it's
know.
crazy that like electronic music people, like producers and DJs and shit, it's like almost at the level that you're at. You're kind of like expected to just bring these insanely big shows with like insane production for like not a lot of money sometimes, which is kind of crazy.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but like at least with the way we do our deals, sometimes we structure them so we can get like production buyouts and stuff, but most of that stuff, I have to cover. And we usually, well, actually, when we're booking a tour, we don't necessarily get a bigger guarantee for a show because we're bringing production. Promoters have told me that production doesn't sell shows, and that's true.
Hmm.
Like a lot of artists bring it. Most artists bring it because they want it. They think it'll, maybe increase their ticket value, but mostly just because they want to make the show better. But like I would be able to make more money if I just toured with nothing, and I don't think it would make. I've done tours with and without production, and the ticket sales don't like change a ton in my opinion. But yeah, it's a big expense, like the physical product of bringing it out and flying out VJs and sound guys and whatever, and also the price of getting content created and all that work too. It adds up.
Yeah, totally. I think like one part of the mentality for me when I was putting together the one tour I had with production was that like if I do this one tour with production and it's like insane and really good and like we just tough it out for this one tour, then like the
Yeah.
next one, the guarantees will be higher, the ticket sales will be higher, like all that sort of stuff. And that was just not the case. It's like I was like, all right, fuck, we did it, we did the crazy hard tour, all right, now like let's wait for the bigger guarantees to start coming in. And then
Yeah.
and we did some big shows and there was like a lot of good buzz surrounding that tour and stuff, but then it's like the next guarantees came in and they're like, we'll offer you $400 to play in Billings, Montana on a Tuesday night with you know,
Yeah.
and
It
I
it,
was
it helps like a little bit, but it doesn't. I have the same thought too, and it never does as much as I think it will.
yeah, it doesn't translate that way. And once I kind of figured out that, I like kind of sat back for a few months and was like, all right, like what are my ideals in life? And I started to think about it just from like a very philosophical perspective. I
Yeah.
was like, obviously, like if I live my life like this, I'm not going to enjoy my life like this like touring thing at that level with all that production. Like it's horrible. I hate it. So I was like, what can I do that you know that where I can be a music producer but not have to go through all that crap. And I kind of just figured like just playing shows on CDJs, use whatever production they have at the place, and just write tunes and put them out. Like that's what I
Yeah.
like to do. And if people start complaining that there's no production, I have a pretty good argument against not bringing it. So
Yeah, and no one really does complain. The difference with me is I do like really love like I love like personally helping with the logistics of planning like the tour, and I love like getting to the venue with all the stuff and having all the stuff. And I loved this last tour, instead of doing an LED wall, we brought a void sound system, and it was great going into all these like random rooms and like having this like crazy sound system. And it like causes a ton of stress for me like financially, and it does usually doesn't work out that well for me on that end of things. But I don't like I'm really tired of like doing, now I'm saying this, I would love to go fly and do a show, but I got really sick of doing that. And I love like traveling in a van or something with a bunch of friends and setting up stuff and having this big thing to play on. But yeah,
yeah, that is also true. It is really nice to be able to like travel with people and not have to
that's
get on planes and stuff. Because like I did this once with Beats Antique, and I really enjoyed going to sleep and then just like waking up and being like, oh, cool, I'm in like a whole other city.
yeah, it makes a big difference. You always have this place where you're comfortable. You're like not you're technically moving around a lot, but you have like a home. You're not having to worry about each green room being nice and just going in between hotels and airports. It just you get a lot more comfortable. And the main thing I think is you just have like a group of people you're around, rather than just a bunch of random people all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you ever get much music produced in those buses or bandwagons?
No, I try, but um I like on the last tour, like all everyone else, all the support we had on the tour were all like making music the whole time, and I tried, and I just could never like really get anything done. And then like I remember I've done two bus tours, and the first one was with Greg G Jones and this other guy Jackal, and Greg would always just like produce on his like MacBook with just the MacBook speakers, and would always like it would start to annoy me because he would just wouldn't use headphones and like blast out of there, and I would hear like the same loop over and over. But he just like would go, like we'd all like party after the show, and usually after the show he would just like start working on music and just really just go nonstop. But I could never like I never ended up doing that.
Crazy, yeah. I think Virtual Riot is like that too. You'll be sitting in a green room and he'll just be blasting music out of his speakers, writing tunes, like making serum patches and shit.
I know it's yeah, and like I think like Greg, or no, he would like go like then mix the stuff on speakers and stuff. But I've known other few other producers that just do that with the laptop speakers, and then I think it usually translates pretty well.
Yeah, if you're good enough with like metering and you kind of like know what you're doing, then yeah, it's possible. But I can never get inspired enough from speakers to continue with a loop. You know, like I'll write a little thing and I'm like, I just can't hear the drums properly. I can't hear the bass, but like this just sounds crap to me. And then I'll listen to it on speakers and be like, actually, there's way too much bass and way too
There's
much
so
drum.
much missing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
or too much there. Yeah,
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 exactly. Because you're like trying to push too much out of these little speakers, so it sounds inspiring to you. Because
yeah.
it's really inspiring when you hear a kick and you're like, oh yeah, that's like tough. And
Yeah, and I can see it would be good to get ideas down because you're just more limited. You don't have to worry about if you have a bunch of stuff in your studio. You just have a few things. I would love to like go like do like a go work somewhere and just put a few things on my laptop, and so I feel like just I just have way too much like mainly software like to choose from that I get this problem like with picking what to use. I'd love to just
I
like just pick a bunch of samples and just like work with that.
yeah, you get option paralysis.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't like that. I
Yeah.
have tried to sort of just build things into my workflow to avoid that. Where some days I'll be like, all right, I'm only going to use phase plant for everything. Like I'm not even going to allow myself to like pick samples or anything. And
Yeah.
you just put that limitation on yourself, even just for a few hours, or even just for 1 hour. Like just not even a long time. Just be like, I'm in phase plant jail for the next hour.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I have so many ideas, and now I just need to pull in a few samples, and bam, a tune's there now.
Yeah, I do need a I've tried doing that a little bit with like my field recordings, like trying to just like pull from like stuff that I've recorded and make as much stuff, by just like messing with those sounds. But I need to get a little bit better about, yeah, kind of doing that, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been getting kind of inspired about field recordings lately. Actually, I just had Richard Devine on the podcast, and then just after that, I had Mick Gordon, the guy who did like the Doom soundtrack and stuff.
Okay,
He
okay.
did like Doom, Wolfenstein, Killer Instinct, Need for Speed. Like he did a bunch of games, and
Dang.
they both just have the craziest instruments like lying around their houses for field recording. Like Richard Devine had a bunch of these Aztec death whistles, and then he has like 30 of them, and
Damn.
then Mick Gordon had this thing called a cangling. Have you ever heard about that?
No.
So it's a femur, like a femur bone, that's like hollowed out and turned into a flute.
Okay.
Also an Aztec instrument. Dude, the Aztecs just make the fucking most gruesome instruments, and they both just sound like shit you would hear in video games, like these big, like crazy, dirty ass horn sounds and shit.
Dude, yeah, that's I like took my field recorder to like a park recently and just like recorded this like gate with all this reverb and was able to create cool stuff with that. And even just like buying percussion instruments recently, and like if I need a shaker rather than like going through and trying to find a loop that has the exact right groove, I just like record
Make
the
one.
shaker and it just
Yeah.
sounds way better and it is way faster.
Yeah, it's nice like doing things bespoke for the tune for sure. Man,
Yeah.
I have this recorder. This thing here is so cool. I've been using it lately. It's got like ears on it. Uh
Oh, what the fuck?
yeah, it's called a 3D OFS. It's basically a binaural recorder. And I
And
just
yeah,
yeah, walk around recording with this, and that creates these like nice stereo recordings, which is cool.
how is it different than like a regular like field recorder or something?
I guess the microphones, instead of being like super close together or like this little XY setup, are just like these weird fucking pickups in the side of the ears or something, and it just I don't know.
So like simulates like kind of how you would hear it, like how the microphones are placed.
Yeah, exactly. So when you listen to it back in headphones, it sounds like ultra realistic. Like these ears are pretty
Oh,
realistic.
because you even get the shape of it.
Exactly. So you get like the
Uh,
you have like the pinna reflections and like the little canal and everything. So it's kind of like you get the experience of an ear before it hits the microphone.
that's really interesting. Would you recommend that like something like that? Do you get a good amount of use out of it?
I've done a fair few recordings on it like lately. I can send you some if you're interested.
Yeah, I want to check them out because that would be really interesting to yeah try recording some stuff with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Oh, the whole reason I got you on the podcast in the first place, and something we haven't talked about yet, is like just posting about people doing shows on Twitter. That's like where I saw your name pop up again, and I was like, oh, I should get
yeah.
Minnesota on the podcast.
I had a feeling this is gonna come up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I mean, it's a nuanced situation, right? Like, for instance,
Yeah.
I've done 3 shows during quarantine. One was at the Midway, and that was like out the back on a patio, and there was less than 100 people, and everyone was like
It's like
socially.
pods. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, those pods, and that felt pretty safe. And then I did one drive-in show in Wisconsin with Ganja White Night that also felt pretty safe because again it was like pods of cars, but the thing that did not feel safe to me was flying there, which
100%.
that felt
Yeah.
pretty damn sketchy.
Yeah.
And also the case rates in Wisconsin at the time were like really bad, so I was like, okay, that was probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
And then I did the same thing also with Ganja White Night at the Orange Nos Event Center or whatever it's called in San
Yeah.
Bernardino, and that I drove to that one, and again it was just like pods of cars, so that felt pretty safe to me.
Yeah.
But this Squanto one, I couldn't tell if it was inside or outside, but regardless of whether or not it was, no one's wearing a mask, which is
Yeah.
insane, and they're all yelling, which is
Yeah.
like just aerosols, like fucking
These are the thoughts that it's that show was inside, and I end up posting this stuff when I'm like in this really frustrated mood. Like I posted about this before, but right before I posted that, I was like working with my parents, and I have an older brother who has Down syndrome, who like are there people with Down syndrome are like very at risk of dying or developing like um just bad COVID reactions. They're like between 4 and 10 times more likely to die from COVID. So I was just like California had just kind of moved them down the list on where they get their vaccine position. So basically, my parents had gotten vaccines because they're his caretaker, but he um, hasn't been able to get one yet. Um, so like before I posted the Squanto thing, I was like writing like a letter to the governor and just like doing that stuff with my parents. And then I saw that picture and I was like, oh my god. And the thing that I've met, his name is Eric, right?
yep.
I've met him before and I had a great interaction with him, and it was before COVID and stuff, but I just get so mad that he like retired and then came back, and I almost feel it's like to rub it in people's faces to like
It's
do shows like this, it just
yeah.
frustrates me.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
incredibly selfish thing to do. Like, I mean, quitting in the first place was selfish, right? I mean, he's not like quitting for anybody else, he's quitting for himself, which is
Yeah.
totally fine. That's a reasonable thing to do. But then
Yeah.
also like coming back to do shows again just for himself because he was bored basically and like wanted to do it and like
And
that's
yeah, and just at this point, and then just like the picture, like I feel like he must have known what he was doing taking the picture. Obviously he didn't post it, I got it from someone else on Twitter, but it just was like this complete, like just the stuff that you mentioned with the no mask, like it's what that situation is like the opposite of what science is telling us is a safe like environment for it. And I'm not one for like everyone should be locked down and not seeing anyone. I believe you should see your people, and otherwise you're gonna go crazy. But like just completely disregarding like science and how and just like safety. And a lot of these guys are like almost like anti-government, but I'm like, it's not really about what the government says, it's about like what science says is safe and what's not safe.
Mhm.
um yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the problem with like listening to science is they've given so much ammo to conspiracy theorists because they've been so wrong about so many things, right? Like the CDC was like, you don't need to wear masks, that doesn't make a difference. And then they were like, hold on 1 second, you need to wear a mask. And then they were like, actually, you know what's even better? 2 masks.
I know. And then because originally they thought like the surfaces and washing your hands, and then that ended up not being important.
Right.
But it's understandable. It's like such a new thing, and they haven't done a good job presenting it. But I just try to stay up to date, and like just think about it's like I wish I could say it's just because I'm like concerned about like myself and people, and mostly it's people that are at risk I'm concerned. And but also it's I get frustrated because I'm like 95% of other people other people in our community are you know sacrificing their income and their livelihoods, and like doing this and not doing shows while a few people are doing it. And it's just like I have a lot of friends in the music industry that have kind of found other jobs working at like grocery stores and all of that, and I don't know I don't get the argument that DJs can't like do other jobs if they're not making money. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. And I think it's like obviously the most reasonable thing to do is to just like keep checking the CDC website, stay up to date with the information that scientists are giving us, and just follow whatever the latest information is that they have. That seems to make the most sense to me.
Yeah,
But yeah, I posted on that thread, so there's this thing called microcovid.org, and
yeah,
essentially it's like related to sort of like micromorts. It's like one microcovid is a 1 in a million chance that you will catch COVID.
yeah.
And and I posted and I said I don't think I'm working this out correctly, and then microcovid actually responded to the tweet being like, yeah, I don't think you were working it out correctly, but they said it's probably around. They said that the show was outside, was it not?
No, it was inside. I looked at the venue and stuff just to get like a better. Yeah, it was it was like it was a pretty big. They definitely like followed the like lower capacity thing. It was like in a pretty big ballroom that fit a lot more people, but it was in a ballroom at a hotel.
Right. So yeah, I mean it's probably around 300,000 microcovids, which is like about a 3 in 10 chance that you would pick up COVID at that event.
And yeah, I think you said it was like 3,000 times more than your daily COVID allowance or something.
Yeah, 5,000 times higher than your weekly risk budget. So like for instance, like I'm in a pod, right? And our policy is basically like we all have a COVID risk budget, and we just have to measure our activities on this website. It's sort of like counting calories, right?
Yeah.
And we're just not allowed to go over our micro COVID budget. And our weekly risk budget, because there's 10 of us in the pod, is 35 micro COVIDs each
Okay.
a week. So and that will keep our risk as a pod to under 1% a year.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, this would be 5,000 times higher than your weekly risk budget.
Yeah. And I just,
So this
I,
would be like 10 years of COVID risk for us.
it's just, yeah, I think there are like, I don't really, I've done one drive-in show and it felt like, okay, the traveling sketched me out. And also going to the show and like people like friends and stuff came to the show to like hang out backstage, and I was like it should kind of just be performers backstage. And I'm not like against people doing drive-ins and stuff like that. It's just like outdoor seems like being much better, but just these indoor shows where there's just like no fucks given about anything, it gets frustrating. And like I said, I end up posting this stuff after being like frustrated about something, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know, I don't, it's kind of, it doesn't do much. Like maybe like some people's posts have helped like an artist cancel one show or something, but it's more just frustration. And then I'm like, I don't know if that was like the best, like the most constructive thing to do. And then I just like when it's like a thread like that, I don't even end up looking at the mentions because there's just no point of getting into it with people. And I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a bunch of
Yeah.
people who are going to be arguing. Yeah, it's really tough arguing with people about this online because everyone thinks it's like an opinion based matter, which is
Yeah.
just like so most certainly is not. And
Yeah.
it's just once somebody has like starts from that perspective of like this is just my opinion and that's just your opinion, then you're like the conversation's over. Like there's nowhere we can go if you just think this is opinions.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'd be better if I like posted this stuff with like just as more of a conversation than just just I just post the picture and said disgusting,
Yeah.
um and kind of like start more of a conversation maybe. But yeah, it just was frustration of, yeah, I thought I just wish we could all like kind of get on the same page, which is obviously impossible, and just just knock out this shit faster. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, right? When everybody has their own reality of, you know, life on their internet. Did you watch
Yeah.
that social net? What was it called? The fucking social dilemma. Did you watch
I
that?
I actually no, I actually haven't seen that.
So one of the big like overarching talking points in it is that we all kind of live with our own reality. Like for instance, you know, what you see when you look at your phone in the morning is not what I see. Like we see a completely different reality.
Yeah.
And the fact that everybody is like in their own reality on their phone all the time, it's like we literally are all basically living in a completely different reality, which is why there's just one theory on why there's just this such a massive divide between people right now.
That's that's Yeah, that totally makes sense. I like I personally like I realized like getting off of social media like really helped my anxiety levels. So like even now when I post like something on Instagram, I never look at the comments and stuff. And a lot of times when post stuff on Twitter, I don't. It's kind of messed up because it should be more of a conversation. I should be able to interact, but I realize it's better for me mentally if I can just like post something and do what I need to do for my brand, uh, and just not worry about it. But I also like when I'm on, if I catch myself on like Instagram or Facebook just scrolling, I'm like, I feel like I should be getting paid by these companies to like look
for
through it, you
your
know?
attention.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to give these companies like my, I don't know, my attention. Like I feel like that's worth something, and it's
It 100% is worth something. I mean, that's literally what advertisers are paying for, right?
exactly, yeah. And I like that's starting to come to my head when I'm going through this, and I'm just like, it's not it's not good to spend too much time on that, which it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like it's not super useful a lot of the time to look at comments because, like, I mean, like you said, you were in your own reality dealing with your own problems when you posted that picture of Squanto in the show, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it had a completely different context to you than it did to Squanto
Nope.
or anybody else. And
Yeah.
same thing with like, I was in my own reality, Squanto was in his own reality, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like that thread coming together with everybody just like so in their own shit is
Yeah.
just always going to be a crockpot for arguments and disaster and just a bunch of bullshit.
And there's just it really doesn't do anything. Like no one's opinion changed with like that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like nobody. It's not like anyone goes on the internet and like reads a thing and goes like, "Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
believe you," and like that's very insightful of you. They're all just like, "Fuck you, bitch."
Exactly. It's oh my god, it's ridiculous. Yeah, no, it's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
classic internet shit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I think it's good that you like posting about stuff like that. I think someone needs to. It's
Yeah, and it's tough to like when I like the first one I did, I called out Dirt Monkey, and it's really tough to like call out like individual people, especially like him, because I've only met him once or twice and he seemed like a great guy. It just are these like the times when I call it the individual artists, it's just like when specific things happen where it was like when I talked about him, it was like two people or three people, staff members got COVID after. So I'm like, then how do you do another show and know that like actually like the venue said like people got COVID from the show. Like after that, don't you like try to do something about that? Um, and I try to like figure it out in my head, but I know that these people just have different opinions on COVID and how
but
bad it is. I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, I had Dirt Monkey on the show, and yeah, I could not like I had him on the show after he sort of like broke the seal on shows. Like he was sort of the first one to do it, right?
Yeah,
He was the first one to play that show at Guilt, because
yeah,
he's I mean he's going through the same shit, right? Like he bought a house just before all of this shit, and like
yeah,
and then shows stopped, and now he's got a mortgage to pay and a kid, and like all this sort of shit. He's in a situation for sure.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, he was sort of like the guinea pig for it, and like did that first show because his agent, who is also Squano's agent actually,
Okay.
and also Boogie T's agent and whatnot, was like, "Oh, the show's happening again. Do you want to do one?" He was like, he didn't even think about it. He was just like, "Yeah, of course. Like, I want money. Fuck yeah." Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I had him on the podcast, and he's definitely one of those people who's like, "Well, like if you just don't want to get COVID, just don't go to the show." And it's like, man, it doesn't work that way. It's like, that's just like saying, I don't know, like if you don't want to get an STD or something. Well, it's not even like that, right? Because uh, STDs are a little different because it's not
yeah.
like you're walking into the world forcing yourself on everybody. Uh,
It's
hopefully you're not anyway.
it's yeah, it's not about, and I'm not scared of me getting it. It's I'm scared about, it's just other people that are more at risk getting it. And uh, I had another thought about that. I can't remember what I was going to say. It's just I'm totally spacing.
Yeah, I mean the term that we're using in our pod for like who is in the pod is air bonded, which is like very close to the concept, I guess, of fluid bonded in a sexual relationship. So I feel like if you think about it from that perspective, which is sort of the perspective or the way that you have to think about it is that everyone who then goes to that show is then air bonded, and if one of those people at that show has COVID, well, it's like now all of these people go back to their pods who they're like, you know, quote unquote quarantining with, and now it's like they're not only air bonded now with everyone who was at that show. It's like everyone who just went from that show to their houses have now air bonded everyone at the show with everybody at their houses, and it's
Yeah, and then also I always think that like the people that go to these shows and are not wearing masks, I assume that they're probably a lot more risky when they're going out and are taking their masks off when they can and when it's not enforced, and it's just getting spread even more, you know. And I totally I understand where Dirt Monkeys may be coming from on the financial side of things. But there's options to make stuff work, and making other streams of income, and then lots, unemployment and government programs. It's been tough for me and my wife because my wife is a floral designer. She does weddings for a living, and so her whole industry is kind of shut down too. And we were lucky enough to have some money saved up. But we've just spent the time and figured out the different government programs to get loans, and some like loans that we don't have to pay back, and been able to make ends meet. Um, I wish I had more set up beforehand, like kind of you have with all your kind of avenues of, or I guess mostly just through the, you know, tutorials and samples and stuff. But it's been positive in that aspect to kind of really look at my expenses and realize that I was spending way too much money in different things and trying to get more passive sources of income.
yeah, totally. I definitely feel like this has been an interesting time for artists because in some ways, like yes, the whole live show industry got shut down. And it's like you can't make money that way anymore. But it kind of opened a shitload of other doors, I think, because it's like, all right, yeah, you can't make money on shows anymore, but now literally everyone is on the internet all the time. So it's
Yeah.
like, streaming Twitch just became like the biggest thing overnight. Splice is like fucking popping off so hard, and like
Yeah.
so many ways to make like I'm surprised that the floodgates didn't open up even harder on sample packs.
Yeah, and all of this stuff is, even once shows get back, it's, if you can put out sample pack and stuff, it's all will keep adding and just be passive incomes for hopefully many years, passive income for mostly for years to come. And there's so many different ways to make money on music. Like I recently, this kind of helps give me a cushion for COVID. I recently like auctioned off some of my music royalties to a company that buys, or buyers like kind of basically buy not the rights to your music, but the rights to the royalties for your music. So I did that about 2 years ago, auctioned off like 50% of like some of my old catalog and kind of just got a lump sum. And there's options like that I think are, it's, in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have done it, but it gave me, I'd rather have that money to live on than go kind of endanger people's lives. There's options.
Wait, I had no idea that this was a thing. So like you can hit up a company and you can be like, all right, I have like all these tracks. They've made this much money over their lifetime. Going forward from here, you can take 50% of the money that they earn if you give me like X lump sum upfront.
Yeah, so basically, so it was a company called Royalty Exchange, and they reached out to us, and I had a few friends that had done it, and they auctioned it off to basically investors. And in the long run, 100%, I would make more money from keeping the rights to the royalties, but I kind of just wanted a lump sum. And yeah, basically they get 50% of all, no licensing stuff, but all streaming and everything. They get 50% of the revenue from those songs. And yeah, I think it's calculated based on like past numbers and stuff. And you get kind of screwed if like some of the songs like start to do really well or whatever.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, this
but
is like investing in stocks or some shit.
it is, and it makes sense for investor, like the whatever investor bought mine. I think it'll take a bit, but after like 8 years or something, he'll have like made back the money that he bought the rights for it, and then it'll just be income source. um
That's insane. So like somebody who like potentially has like never given a shit about music in their life, or like doesn't know what the fuck they're doing with music or anything, is now
Yeah.
taking 50% of Minnesota songs. Right.
Yeah, yeah, and not all songs. So it basically was like my catalog from like 20, I think probably like 2015 to like 2010, a good chunk of those songs, and not even all of those. And yeah, they don't have rights to any of the music. Like they can't like change anything about it or like do
Right. They
anything
just
else
they
with
just
them.
take 50% of the streaming royalties.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Can
And
can you
yeah,
say like what the lump sum was for that amount of catalog, or would you be uncomfortable saying like just what even the range was or something? I'm just very curious.
well, I'll say the range for, I'm not gonna say how much I got, but like for a lot of the auctions on there start at like around 50K and go up to like, for even sums with single song auctions go up to like 300, 400K.
Wow.
So and it varies from like some auctions are for just one like track where you buy like 25% of it, but it's like some hit track, to like random electronic artists like catalogs and stuff. So it really varies. It's called royalty exchange. You can kind of see like what's on there. But yeah, in hindsight, I don't know if I made the right decision doing it, but also that's part of the money that kind of like helped. Um, I haven't had to like tap into it for this because I've been able to kind of make the other streams of income work. But it's just an example of one of the things you can
Yeah,
do,
it's like
which
something you can do instead of like giving people COVID.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
totally. I mean, I think it's worth doing instead of
yeah, and yeah, you
doing
can
indoor shows and fucking up
there's
people's health.
just it's just weird how many different things you can make make money from, I don't know.
Yeah, I've never been approached for anything like that or heard of anything like that. I mean, like my streaming is like for songs is kind of shitty. Like I make about 500 bucks a month off music streams, which is like low as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's not like my main source of income is like website subscriptions and YouTube and Twitch and like all this other shit.
I was curious, like how does like I'm familiar with like the pay rate for Spotify for tracks. How does that work with like a podcast? Like when I listen to your podcast, I listen to it on Spotify. Is the pay rate higher for a longer thing like a podcast versus a song?
It's a good question. I'm actually not sure.
Yeah.
So basically, as far as yeah, I don't actually know where all the stream royalties even go for the podcast. I know the main way that we make money for this podcast is via Patreon. And
Gotcha.
essentially, like the thing that Patreon or patrons get for signing up on there is they just get to listen to these episodes earlier than the general public.
Okay.
But I don't, yeah, it's a good question. Surely there is streaming royalties going somewhere from these episodes.
And then I feel like the pay rate has to be because I feel like now I mostly just listen to podcasts and I listen to most of them on Spotify. And it's obviously they're an hour long versus a few minutes, so it must pay like or it has to be substantially better than a song.
Right, because they can like show a lot more ads during it and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see, I'm going into the monetizing area on Libsyn right now.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I have no idea. It says you can opt into an advertising program to monetize the podcast, but I don't think we've
And
done that.
and that's will they like tack in like a random audio like advertisement into the audio of your podcast, you think?
So I think on Spotify it plays as like a separate thing, like you'll be just listening to a podcast and then it would just like start playing like a 1 minute
I
clip.
add.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess you have to opt into this and we just haven't.
Yeah.
But I think it's that is sort of like a YouTube video in that way, right? Where you have to turn monetizing on
Yeah.
for
Well,
it to
yeah.
be.
Yeah, I like your podcast, man. It's just like there's a few other like audio ones or like music focused ones I listen to, and I just like your podcast because there's not like a long intro, it just like gets to the point, and also like the audio is always like very clear. Like I listen to a few podcasts where it's like just the Zoom recorded audio or something like that, and it's like really grainy, and it's nice to listen to your podcast because you seem to like care about that kind of stuff.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So one thing when we started quarantine, I was like, oh man, I don't want to do any podcasts because like I don't want to leave it up to the other person to have to record their audio and shit. It's going to be like such a mixed bag of quality.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it. I was like, man, you know what? Like most of my friends and shit probably have like real nice mics and stuff. Like I'm probably like in the exact right industry to do podcasts online. Like it's not like I'm talking to, you know, like theoretical physicists and like people who work in like biology labs and shit like that who talk about really interesting stuff but probably don't have access to like a fucking Electro Voice RE20 and like a Universal Apollo like twin sound card and shit.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually worked out pretty well. And at this point, I mean, I've done more podcasts remotely than I had in person now. Like I think the first 20 something episodes were in person, and now the last like 50 or 60 have been remote. So
Yeah, and I feel like you can't tell, and then yeah, it's just nice that you just. I feel like a lot of podcasts just have like kind of long intros, and I have to like go skip through it to find like where the interview actually starts. It's nice you just like kind of get to the point quick, you know?
yeah, well, that's how they're making money, right? It's like they're being like, hey, are you a person who needs to hire people for your business? And do you also need underpants and a mattress?
That's true. I guess it's because you don't like do as many advertisements, so I guess it makes sense that I appreciate that.
Yeah, have you seen that tweet? It's like I think the tweet says something like, "I like who podcasts think I am, a person who hires people who also doesn't own underpants or a mattress."
No, I haven't seen that. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's always the Me Undies ad, and then like I guess there's been some Sava ads and
Well,
the
have you listened to like Song Exploder before?
yeah,
That
I love that.
podcast?
Yeah, I really like that one.
I love that podcast, but it's also like such a short podcast for them to have like so many ads before it. And I understand like it's it costs money to make the podcast, but it's just tough when it's such a short one and it feels like half of it's advertisements, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is kind of annoying, but yeah, I
That's
guess
how they
that's like
make money, I guess.
yeah, exactly. When you sit there thinking like, man, how do we get all this like good content for free? And
Yeah.
you're also sort of sitting there listening to 10 minutes of ads. It's like, there's your answer.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
you listen to Sam Harris?
um no. That name sound I think you've probably mentioned him in your podcast before.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. Also, Reply All is another podcast I
Yeah.
really like.
Yeah, listen to Reply All. Yeah, recently it's been a Song Exploder, and then like the thing I'm obsessed with now is mountaineering for some reason. So I've been listening to mountaineering podcasts. I don't know
Nice.
why. Yeah.
How does a mountaineering? Because I've thought about listening to mountain biking podcasts before, and I've like kind of looked into them a little bit, and I'm like, this doesn't seem as interesting as just like watching a YouTube video on it or like actually doing it. Because like, what are they gonna do? They're just gonna be like, so I went mountain biking and there was a lot of dirt and I went around a berm, and it's like I don't want to listen to someone talk about that. I want to like see it happening or do it.
Yeah, mountaineering works because um it's like more of like a story, like it's a longer thing, and it's like their journey to get to the top of this mountain and all that shit that happened. And the one I
Yeah.
listened to, it's called like the Fern Line or something. It's like it's just nice to fall asleep to because he plays like mellow music, and it's just these like people from Alaska telling these stories of them climbing up mountains. Yeah,
Sounds pretty
it's
sick, actually.
it's pretty great.
Actually, I listened to one podcast once that was a story of a guy who was working on a spaceship in the middle of space, and that was pretty crazy. He was talking about how every 45 minutes the sun would go behind the Earth, or like, whatever, the sun would go away, and
Yeah,
it would just be like so black that he couldn't see his hands like in front of him at all, and he was like trying to work on this spaceship in the dark for like 45 minutes, and then like it would get like so light and so hot for like the next 45 minutes where it's like so bright that he can barely see his hands and like he's just working. So he's like, I was pretty much working on this spaceship for like a few hours in either the darkest or the brightest conditions possible.
that sounds like it'd be really interesting. I hope I get to go to space one day.
Really? You want to? Oh man, like, aren't you worried that you'll die in space?
No, I would love to hopefully be able to partake in like just some light space tourism or something, just a quick little trip up, like what it's, pretty like as safe as commercial air flight or something.
Yeah, true. I suppose like if you die on Earth, technically you die in space, so
It's true. that's
kind of
that's a
same
good.
thing.
That's
I
a good
think it's
point.
really just the atmosphere that I'm into. Like, I really like being inside this little the little thin layer of atmosphere around the Earth. I just like to be inside that,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is weird that it's like such a strange thing. It's like, oh, I want to be in like if you look at it from like a huge perspective, you're like, no, I just want to be like in that little layer. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It just would be wild to get to go out a little bit and just see all of Earth in like your view frame. But I guess, we travel on airplanes so much, and I'm sure if I were to go up in an airplane for the first time at this age, that would be like a pretty crazy experience, but it's so like normal for us at this point.
yeah, true. Did you end up flying enough from touring that you got like sick miles and like upgrades all the time and shit?
I used to like spend a lot of time on like making sure I was flying like only Delta so I could get upgraded and stuff. But then I kind of switched over to Southwest, um, just because I could get a companion pass so I could bring my tour manager along with me for free. And also just the flexibility. Southwest, you can cancel flights whenever you want and get the money back. But I used to, when I first started touring, I spent like a lot of extra money just trying to fly on one airline to get status and try to get upgraded and get more miles.
Yeah, I kind of did that with United. It's almost like I don't know, it's like a pain in the ass game to play. This is one of the things I hate about touring. It's like, do I have like am I getting the miles and shit? It's like, fuck, I hate playing this game with airlines. And I hate playing this
Yeah.
game with like promoters of like trying to get more money out of the show and like all this crap. Like it's just it's this whole like every part of the process is like you're trying to arm wrestle with someone who's, trying to arm wrestle with you basically.
Yeah, that was part of it. I think I was spending like too much time like trying to do the flight thing that I just had to like kind of forget about it. And now I just book because I usually book my own flights, and I just book like whatever will get me to and from the destination as quick as possible.
That makes sense. That's cool that you are like still at this stage, like do a lot of your financials and book a lot of your own flights and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, like financials, my dad helps me a lot, but the flight thing is it's just easier for me, and I feel like I kind of know how to. It's easier for me to just do it than go back and forth with my management to do it. And I have a lot of experience doing it, so I can do a better job. Like I book a lot of travel for like my friend group and like my family and stuff, because it's like I do actually kind of enjoy like digging into it and finding like deals and stuff. And there's like with these tours, there's a lot of expenses. So I do put a lot of energy into there's like a community called like churning, where you're like getting different credit cards to get like the different rewards and stuff.
Oh, is this
And
like flight hacking or whatever?
it pretty well, kind of. It's more like this is more credit card spend focus. So if you spend a certain amount of money, you get a certain amount of points. And when we have these tours, I'll have like one credit card that's only for gas for the tour bus, and one credit card that's for, I don't know, like shipping stuff and just all that, so I can get as many points as possible and use that for vacations for me and my wife, and just not pay for anything. um,
Damn, that's sick. Yeah, that's I've got a few friends who do that stuff like credit card hacking stuff.
it's a lot of effort, and you really have to be on it to make sure it's worth it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's cool that you still do a lot of that stuff. I think a lot of people assume like here's one thing I get a lot is like you get a lot of people like I hear from a lot of aspiring producers, right, just by proxy of like being the tutorial guy. They're like, when do I need to get a manager, and like, how do I know when I've made it? And like you get a lot of these people who kind of have this idea that like when they reach X that they've made it, and that that's when everything will be fine and easy for them. But it's like you are doing it. It's not like you get to a point where everything just becomes like easy and done for you, right? Like you're still doing a shit ton of this work for yourself. And
Yeah, there's always something to do. And like I've been with my manager my entire career since like 2010, and he like has played a big role in like me getting to like where I am. But I just know he has his strengths, and there are these small things that I actually do enjoy doing. And he's really good at like big picture stuff, and I'm really good at like kind of both. But like I'm really good at like details and stuff, and I enjoy for these tours like having a part in planning the logistics. And like I said, not much money is being made, and I'm the one that's having to pay for the stuff. So I want to know, and I want to control all of the financial stuff, so I can make sure I'm getting like the best deal possible. And it takes a lot of time, but um, if I was making a lot more money, then I would, and I didn't have to worry about like the numbers, I would give someone else the job. But um, I don't mind doing it. I can't work on music like nonstop. You know, I have a limit to how much like concentration I can get on that. So I'm okay with like taking up the rest of my time with this, you know, these random kind of tasks.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. Like the only time, like if I am taking time off to do these other tasks, I'm always like, I wish I was working on music.
Really? So like can you go for like a while and just work on music like you
If I like delegate a day or
yeah.
designate a day to working on music, and I just like tell everyone around me, hey, I'm gonna work on music all day, like I'll happily work on music for 12 hours straight.
Wow.
But
Yeah, I
it's yeah, I often just don't feel like comfortable doing that because like I'll have friends and like partner and stuff like that around me who want to do shit, and I want to like do shit as well, and like I want a social life too. I don't want to just be writing all the time. But yeah, it's very easy for me to sit and write for a long, long time.
that's a little tougher for me to like stay focused for that long. And I used to like definitely like try to like, and I think that's just me personally. I used to try to force myself to do that more. And I used to do more of like missing out on social stuff and not going out with friends and stuff. And as I've gotten older, I realized like that stuff is a lot of times more important to like go out and do these things than it is to like try to sit and bang my head in the studio. Um, and that would be like a tip I'd give to like newer people is like don't just like stay like holed up in the studio. You got to go like live your life and do these things, and you're honestly probably going to get just as much done in the long run, you know.
Yeah, no, I would agree, and I feel that way as well. Like I think I naturally sort of balance shit out pretty well. Um, but in the like back in the day, I definitely did not. I was like way too heavy on the production side.
Yeah.
But I think that yeah, I agree. There's a certain point in the process where you start getting diminishing returns, right? And that's like a couple of hours in, really. So it's like you might as well work for 3 hours, like really solidly, get all you're gonna get done, and then the next like 6 hours after that, you might only get as much done as you did in the first hour that you work. Like it becomes like you get a lot of diminishing returns in those last hours. So it's kind of like you might as well spend them doing other shit, like you said, like flight hacking and credit card
Yeah,
hacking.
exactly. And if that's what brings you joy, yeah, might as well do it, which it kind of does for me. But it's always hard because you never, sometimes you do like force yourself to do stuff, and that's when something comes out. You just never know, yeah, when, you know, good stuff is gonna come out of your brain. It's tough.
Yeah, have you read that Stephen Pressfield book, The War on Art?
No.
So he talks about basically the entire book's premise is like you're going to war with yourself essentially to make art, and there's like always going to be this what does he refer to it as, like something pushing back against you. It starts with an R. I can't remember the word right now. Whatever.
Yeah.
Um, there's always going to be this like part of you that's pushing back and trying to get you to not write music or not do whatever art, like write a book
Shit.
or whatever. And he's like, so long as you show up every day and like fight, resistance, that's the word. I can't believe I couldn't
Yeah.
think
Okay.
of
Yeah.
the fucking word. Sometimes I just get stuck on like the dumbest shit.
I know what you mean.
um yeah, so he's like, as long as you can like fight that resistance every day and show up to work on art, then you do have like a way better chance of something hitting, right? Like you were just saying, you never know. Sometimes you can get in the studio and something can just come out in like an hour, and you're like, oh shit, I just finished a tune.
I need to read that because I have that problem. And the biggest problem I have is like sitting down, and sitting down is that's not the hard part for me. But when I get something good down, that's when I'll like get up and leave. And I think I have this like thought in my head, like I already feel good about today. I've like done something good. And the problem with getting up and leaving is that once it's been a day or even just a few hours, you kind of lose that. You need to get like as much down as possible when you're in that state because it gets harder and harder to come back and keep that idea together. And now I like, it's still so hard. I still like almost always like get up and go, but when I can, I try to think about it and almost like treat it as like a meditation and like just be like, I'm going to sit down and just like forget about everything and try to keep going on this. But it's so easy just to like feel good about that, and then it'd be better just to keep working on that idea and get it as done as possible, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like if I get a little bit of something done on a piece of music and I really like it, it's hard for me to like not well, I mean, so usually the way it works is I'll be like, "Oh, this is sick," and I'll like work it to death and get everything I can done on it, but then I'll sort of like think, oh, I've put like every idea that I have into this thing. I don't have any more ideas for now. So I'll stop working on it and then I won't work on it for like a few months and then I'll
Yeah.
come back to it and I'll be like, oh, like I'm just not on this vibe anymore. And like a lot of songs don't get finished that way.
Yeah. And recently I have been doing that actually, because and I used to like, I would do kind of a similar thing. And then if it didn't get done, like in the initial go, I just would never like revisit it, never finish it. But yeah, recently I have been going back and checking out these ones and actually like then trying to finish them. And it's, you have to get a certain amount done for that to work. Like I feel like you have to get most of the song like structured out and done. And then you can come back a few months later and be like, oh, that sounds good. And then like really get into the mixing and stuff. Um, but I used to just like if the track didn't get done in the initial sit down and initial go at it, I would never go back to it, you know. Do you
Yeah,
kind
no.
of do like are you usually like finish a track straight away or do you kind of like go back to older stuff and finish it up later?
No, I never finish a track in one sitting anymore. And the reason why is because I feel like on every day, I'm like always too hyper specific in one area of my production. So, like, for instance, today I might be all about like the arm and break or something. So I'll just put way too much of that in the track. Or, like,
Yeah.
I'll be way too much about like boosting this one frequency and like running it through a distortion or something. And like this one technique or something, I'll be like all about it on one day. And if
Yeah.
you like too hyper specifically use just one trick over and over again on one track, I don't feel like it takes like a large enough snapshot of like what it is that I do, and it just if somebody is that's if that's the only thing they hear of me, they're just gonna be like, oh, he's that's what that guy's music is. So
Yeah.
I'm always trying to make like every track a more sort of like even keeled snapshot of what I do. So that can only happen over a series of months, really.
Yeah. That's the way to do it. Like I up until like, you know, a year or two ago, I just thought that if I didn't finish it like in and not only in just a sit down, but in like working in it on it for the first few weeks, then I would never be able to come back to the flow that I had with that. But now it's just way better to kind of get a track or even I'll even like get a track like almost done, wait a few months, come back, then work on it for another few weeks. And then I think it's done, but then I sit on it for another few weeks and then finally come back and do the like finishing touches so I can, like you said, like get as many of just get as much time on it as possible, you know, but not too much time at the same time.
Yeah, do you often feel like sometimes you'll make a track and you'll be like, man, this does not sound like a Minnesota song, but then you work on it like a bunch more and a bunch more, and then like after a month or two of like coming back and doing sessions on it, you're like, all right, like now it just feels like it has all the shit that like makes it a Minnesota song.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I maybe a little bit. I always just struggle with like if I'm like overproducing it or not. Um, I feel like I usually get like whatever like my kind of feel into it pretty quickly. Um, but the I guess the problem I have with that is when I'm like listen to a certain artist, I'm like, I don't have this as much at this point in my career, but I used to so much would like hear a certain artist or a certain like trend in music and be like, oh, I want to do that and just like try to recreate that, and it just turns into shit, you know. Um, yeah, I would have that problem a lot, but now I just like really try to like do whatever comes naturally and just get in that flow state and yeah, just make something that comes natural to me.
Hmm. Yeah, quite often I'll make something that's like, very simple or very distorted or very heavy or like very ambient or something. And I'll just be like, it's just not a Mr. Bill track, like it just doesn't have the shit that it needs to be a Mr. Bill track. And I'll get stuck and I'll be like, fuck, I don't know like what it needs or whatever. But then it's like, it just always happens that if I just put enough sessions into it, eventually I'm like, all right, it just has all the elements now. Like it just feels very much like a finished Mr. Bill track or whatever. But I just can't seem to like get that feeling out of one session anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I know what you mean. The thing, I do get really frustrated sometimes spending like so much time on tracks. Like I've been working on a track recently and I've just been putting so many hours into just like mixing this one like kind of orchestral like live instrument section, and I'm just having so much trouble figuring it out, and I'm just like ready to just like get rid of the track. But I don't know, it can get kind of frustrating spending so much time on just like one part of it, you know.
Yeah, I feel like stuff like that as well. If you just sit on it for long enough, you just end up learning some other technique by doing something else in some other track by accident, and
Yeah,
then you come back to these things and go like, oh, that just doesn't have this thing, or it like just needs this kind of EQ on it or something, and it just becomes really obvious as to like what you need to do to fix certain things.
yeah, totally, totally. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, dude, thanks a lot for coming on. It's been like 2 hours now. I guess I suppose we had that
A little, yeah.
cut out in the middle, but um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's been awesome to like finally have a proper chat with you, and hopefully after all this shit happens, hopefully we're all vaccinated by the summer or something. So
that's what it was originally looking like. So I hope so. But yeah, thanks for having me. I think I've listened to most of the podcasts you've done. Like I I found it like I think early summer, and then just kind of went through a lot of the episodes as I was doing stuff. And there's some like there's one where you had, I forget their names. There it was two guys like audio.
Matt Davis and Anthony Bissett.
I listened to
I
that
was
one.
actually going to suggest that earlier when we're talking about acoustics, because yeah, those guys are insane.
I listened to that one probably like three times. And I still need another like listen or two to try to get some of
Dude,
the information.
yeah, Matt is the man. If you ever need an acoustician, he's the guy.
Did he do your current studio, like kind of help you?
No, because I built this during COVID, but if
Yeah,
I think after I might get him to come out.
yeah,
But yeah, he does like Tipper's studio and like Detox Unit and Jade Zacata and like all those guys. So
yeah,
yeah, he's definitely the man. I'll get him out here to do this one at some stage, I think.
yeah. But yeah, yeah. Appreciate your podcast, and yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good to talk.
Yeah, man. Thanks very much.
Cool, man. Yeah, have a good one.